You never really expect yourself to be where you ended up. You know what I mean? I think about Keanu Reeves a lot, really more myth than person at this point. Photographed by paparazzi one fateful day in 2010 eating a sandwich on a park bench that became a meme. A person who has experienced more than their fair share of reasons to be sad sometimes. I guess there is no normal when you're Keanu Reeves.
You're breathtaking!
Did the world really need a John Wick 3? I mean, John Wick 1 was easy to relate to because John's opportunity to grieve was stolen away from him.
Kill that from me!
It was catharsis, but here we are, a stone's throw and a country mile away from where we started, and now John's the f***ing gun ballet Babadook. You never really expect yourself to be where you ended up. You'll see what I mean. Suis pacem para bellum. If you want peace, you should prepare for war. Also, it's the name of a 9x19 cartridge designed by Georg Luger for the, Luger. Hey, wait a minute, you say out loud. John wants peace. That's all he's ever wanted, and at one point had actually attained it. That's why John Wick 1 was so shocking. This unassuming guy is minding his own shit and dealing with catastrophic loss, and this Eosif-looking mother fart lord assaults him and takes away literally the only thing he has left in the world to love. It was cruel as shit, but oops, that dude also just happened to be the crime world's version of Baba Yaga. And if you want peace... In John Wick 3, John goes to war with the High Table, the council that connects and governs the entire criminal underworld. Mafia, triads, cartels, it's all connected. Crime. It's the connective tissue of this entire universe. Crime is glue. To gloriously oversimplify the entire John Wick series in the wake of what we know now. An idiot kill his dog, so John Wick start war with crime, but oh no, John is crime? Well... John Wick: Chapter 3 M-Parabellum is a 2019 film, once again directed by Chad Stahelski. Derek Kolstad, returning for the third time, is credited with the story for this film and shares the screenplay credit with 3 other writers. David Leitch, the co-director of John Wick 1, with Stahelski went on after Wick to direct Deadpool 2 and Atomic Blonde. Also, he's still around as executive producer, but let me deepen this narrative, as all good trilogies do. In 1997, after success as stunt people in the industry, such as Leitch was the stunt double for Tyler Durden in Fight Club. Trust me, their resumes read like my old DVD collection. Leitch and Stahelski partnered and created a stunt design business that helps you with everything. Equipment, people, design. Oh hey, and John Wick 3. I'll scroll their recent work page to show you that this company has become its own successful business that puts a lot of people to work. I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate the both of you wonderful stunt space cowboys who took over Hollywood. You never really expect yourself to be where you ended up. But back to Stahelski and John Wick: The Crime Babadook, a man who by the end of the third film has killed almost 300 people since the start of the first one, and now literally haunts the very idea of organized crime. Batman noise. When discussing this film, it's pretty difficult to discuss much without the context of all 3 films. And I have to describe my experience watching this movie. It was kind of strange, like, this movie's not subtle. In the theater, when this shot happened, I was like, oh, John dies at the end.
The High Table accepts your fealty. But what about him? What are we going to do about John Wick?
Oh, he has to die. Sorry, Jonathan.
Like the crucifix symbolism is egregiously unsubtle. He dies at the end, but it's fine. He's okay. Also, there's like stigmata images, like just trust me. But here's a strange question. Does John Wick have a dad? I mean, obviously he does. I'm sure Mr. Jovanovic was very kind, but I mean, John is really disconnected from anyone. He had a wife, lost a wife, got a dog, lost a dog. Other than those, we are unsure of any real familial connection. He is, well, was a quiet person. Allow me to rephrase. John is hit by trauma so hard, he doesn't know when to stop. That is literally the entire franchise, at the meta level down to the micro level, broken down into a single thing. When do you stop? Our world started here. Fortune favors the bold. A sentiment this movie burns right off of John's skin. He is boogeyman Jesus. I sort of love that. Definitely didn't imagine ending up there, but you never really expect yourself to be where you ended up. That describes everything about John Wick. John was wronged. We were behind him for that movie, and herein is our conflict. While John Wick 2 chose to try and re-justify his revenge by having a villain destroy John's home and all of his worldly possessions, John Wick 3 just said, "Ooh, buddy, please look at the mess you're making." And most of the movie is just people being like, "John, please." But crime can't bargain with an unkillable, wronged boogeyman that they wronged, so crime's gotta go. John Wick versus crime, the high table. Represented here by a character known as the adjudicator, the judge, the arbitrator, the person who must see the world as black and white so that the rules are followed. They see only how John wronged them. And Winston has intense crime Don father figure mojo. John's own father figure decides he's got to die to rectify any of this. Crime turns their back on John Wick.
Very well, gentlemen.
So I would assume at the end of the movie that John is very ready to go to war with all of it. Parabellum. Prepare for war. Crime.
And they're about to find out if you cut a king, you better cut him to the quick.
Never seen a man fight so hard to end up back where he started.
Keanu Reeves, a kind, generous person with a fierce capital AF work ethic, is 55 years old.
Over the years of doing the John Wick training, the physicality, the martial arts, and then the weapon work, I've gotten better. So I'm really the ceiling. And when you're the limit, you can always get better.
Okay, so Chad said something I think it's worth remembering.
And being over 50, the physical limitations that one gets at that age has to be overcome with even more hours of physical fitness training.
Keanu has to spend more hours at the gym to train and prepare for something like this.
He spent thousands of hours with the 8711 stunt team learning judo, jiu-jitsu, sambo, and all the arts that come along with it.
Thousands. That work ethic is 100% reflected in the universe of John Wick. This is a film, of course, where John is so on the ropes that he cuts his own finger off just so that he can keep moving. His wedding ring finger. The moment where John also agrees to kill his father figure. The moment John sells his soul to the elder, the one above the high table. The character played by Saeed Taghmaoui, God, the devil. In this universe, it holds no distinction. To John, it doesn't matter, and the price is steep. The price is high because he has nothing else to give. He has nothing to barter with. Remember when John used to have a really cool car? Well, now he takes the horse to work. John Wick is ruined. He seeks penance. John knows what he did, but he just can't stop because stopping means dying.
Why do you wish to live?
How would you answer that question? John is at a loss. I mean, he stammers. He says something to the effect of,
My wife, Helen. to remember her.
And the elder is like, oh, you want to remember your wife, huh? Well, your punishment is psych! Jesus Christ, but also, I mean literally. He doesn't even get to keep the ring. Angelica Houston's character, the director, states this plainly earlier in the movie. Art is pain. Life is suffering. And if that isn't the ethos of John Wick, I'll eat a taco. Sorry, I already ate the taco. How did I get here? John Wick movies are special because the work ethic of those entertainers to entertain is atypical of Hollywood. But here's the Shyamalan twist. Let's talk about Halle Berry. So, some John Wick casting calls go out for this film looking for someone to fight alongside John Wick. I'm not really sure what the Sofia role looked like in the script at this point. They wanted someone who would do the hardcore training. They were not looking for someone to take it easy, someone with a work ethic of Keanu Reeves, which probably pretty rare. It wasn't your average sort of casting feelers.
So we put the word out like, look, we're looking for someone that really believed in the acting side of it and who was willing to give us the time to train her to be a little bit more on the action side of things. I wanted the transformation.
Anyway, so Halle Berry went to Chad Stahelski's office and was like,
I said, well, can I go in and talk to him? Because I think he's just amazing. And I just want to tell him that I'm going to do this movie and I just want him to meet me because I think he should meet me.
Knock on the office door and it was Halle Berry. I'm like, hi. She's like, hi, I'm Halle. I'm like, I know who you are.
I promise you I'll kill it. And then a few days later, I left there and he called back and he said, okay, I want you to kill it.
I'm not sure who hired who. I can't tell if I hired Halle or she hired me.
Her training lasted 5 months, 3 hours a day of fighting, 2 hours of guns, and then to top it off in the evening, she became a dog trainer. She spent 4 hours a day with those dogs because it's a monumental amount of work to be able to control your body like that and dogs at the same time in a movie set. Everything about Sofia's character is John Wick, down to
He shot my dog.
I get it.
they become partners in the shit, but Sofia does not like John.
Better get going.
Switching gears, Asia K. Dillon, a non-binary actor playing a non-binary adjudicator who forces themselves to see the world only in binaries, evil binaries. They are an adjudicator for the entire totality of crime, which I mean, it's gotta be up there, right? Yeah? They're coming to NBC's this fall, The Adjudicator, because crime has to defend itself somehow. Mark Dacascos, Only the Strong, Brotherhood of the Wolf, freaking Iron Chef. I love the character of Zero. Just straight up literal ninja assassin, moonlighting as a street food sushi chef, and he's just a huge fan of John and his work, which is literal death. It's just a good character. There's a craft to these films. I would be horrified making an action movie knowing that these movies exist. Well, maybe not if I made the movie The Raid, but only then. Just kidding, people from The Raid are in this movie too. There's thought, there's nuance, there's care. I'm sure some people can relate that you go to the movies in the theater and sometimes it doesn't always seem like there's a great deal of effort on display. That definitely does not happen with John Wick movies. There is a monumental amount of effort on display. You can tell a whole lot of people care about these intricate details of this violent world. But the existential crutch of it all, the truth John seeks but will not actually accept. There is no happy ending for John. None. He wants one, but if this movie is about anything, it's that there's no fix here. John, guilt, lost causes, craft, which brings us to there's a sentiment running through John Wick 3, this overwhelming sense of, Helping John had extremely dire consequences for a lot of us. Or in other words, truth. We did this to us. Consequence. The boogeyman has relentlessly torn down the structure of the temple that evil hath built. Everyone, including the system itself, is getting desperate.
What are we going to do about John Wick?
Helping John has had immense consequences. The director lost her hands for helping him. Sofia had already hidden her own daughter to protect her from the life Sofia chose. She then tore her entire world down on behalf of John. Winston loses his hotel and chooses to murder John to maintain his status quo. And Charon fought at John's side all the way to the end before ferrying John to his fearless leader. Symbolism.
Oh, he has to die.
The mythology of John Wick grew up enough to be its own thing while remixing scores of other things. Like these movies seem to be referencing The Matrix a lot.
Guns. Lots of guns.
They're all gods now. They're remixing their own pop culture. Hey, I hate to belabor a point I made in 2014, but again, Chad Stahelski was the stunt double for Neo.
I met him in a rehearsal hall in Burbank. It was my first audition. That's where I met Yung Woo Ping and an insanely talented group of Hong Kong stuntmen. Meanwhile, Keanu's in the background doing kung fu with a neck brace on and just... And it was a little intimidating, but it was...
But you went trial by fire.
Trial by fire.
The Wachowski way.
The Wachowski gauntlet.
It's all connected in some weird way. This movie ends with a boogeyman off. John meets himself, and he is a big fan. The world of John Wick has deified John Wick.
God recognize God, know what I mean?
John cannot be defeated. He seemingly has no self-agreeable course of action but to fight the entire system, but he has lost so much and believes in a peaceful end, even though he has no answer to the question.
Why do you wish to live? Never seen a man fight so hard to end up back where he started.
How did I get here? He possesses an immortality of torment. John Wick, indentured to his bottomless, incurable pain, robbed from him by an idiot who sprung just the right leak in just the right pipe, and then hell flooded out. Truth. You really miss your wife. Consequence. You became the one demon she never wanted you to lose yourself to. And now they're all doing it. This unimpeachable structure for crime was so easily toppled by applying just the right amount of pressure in exactly the right places. The immovable syndicate of crime has met the unstoppable Baba Yaga. Hey, you know how every time I make one of these I bloviate uncontrollably about symbolism and allusions to older literature? Watching this movie again, all I could think about was Dante's Inferno, how John just finds newer depths to sink to because rock bottom is an infinitely unattainable goal for him. The hole is always deeper. And sure, that's only a third of the pretty dope Virgil fanfic known as the Divine Comedy. I mean, Virgil and Dante just walk through hell and judge everyone like they shit don't stink. It's effectively a more judgmental version of The Simple Life. I let that sentence sit for 5 entire seconds and I still agree with it. It was in that moment I was like, whoa, hey, wait, whoa, what was the name of the ferryman who carts souls across the river Styx? It's right there, which just is like a piece of advice or whatever is not the wisest choice of words to shout in a crowded room. Charon, the ferryman carting souls across the river. Hey, wait a minute, that's your name! The river Styx, situated in the 5th circle of hell in Dante's Inferno, receives a visit from the beastmost from the East Coast, aka John John. The fifth circle of hell is wrath. I feel like I buried that lead, but the fifth circle of hell is wrath. There is no greater sorrow than to recall our times of joy and wretchedness. Once upon a time in 2016, I watched this movie called John Wick on Blu-ray. It knocked me on my ass and I wanted to talk about it. So I made a video because there was a lot more going on in that movie than a typical little action movie. I mean, I kind of make money on the internet sometimes if I talk about movies real good, but how long are we supposed to do this for? Where does this ride end? Truth. All rides must end. We all must end. Here I am sitting on a bench eating a sandwich thinking about John Wick again. But who am I kidding? I could do this forever. You never really expect yourself to be where you ended up. You know what I mean? Oh shoot, dang. There's doggy armor in this movie. It's the best. Oh, I should have brought that up. David McIntyre, Woodleg, Matt Hessinger, Ken Burns, John, Brett Busy, Adam, Trebuchet, Sam Bacon, Matt and Dave, Avi Finkel, Sarah, B28, Josephine, Jamie Hands, Amy B, Tiger and Bean, Matt Buffano, Jerry Lalomi, Rob Golding. I've already lost the plot. I hope you enjoyed paying good money to see these in the credits. Really just give it up for Alex Podgorski. And dedicated to butts. I think John Wick 3 is dedicated to butts. I think that's a fair thing to say. Don't you agree, Iris Fox? Adam, Billy, Charles, Dan, Fred. Take that 2 first names, Smith. Oldie but a goodie. Merlin Brittenham, Gurman Sadu. Pleased to see you all still hanging around with Movies and Mikey. Oh, 2019 has been tough, but we're delivering the goods. Cyclops boy out.